Hi and welcome to Fun Swedish. In every language you have these tiny words, småord, that pop up everywhere. In this video we're going to go through the most important Swedish tiny words. But first, let's learn how to say tiny words in Swedish. Tiny, if you refer to many things, is små. Word is ord. So just skip that W and you will get the Swedish word for word, ord. Then just put these two words together and you will have småord. Number 1 on this list is the Swedish word for yes. Ja. You will see and hear this one very often. And if you don't hear ja, you might hear a instead, which is the spoken version of this. And there are of course other versions of ja in Swedish, like this weird breathing in sound we make, especially in the north of Sweden.
Here in Umeå, we say
I guess it's too cold to say a proper ja, so we just do that. Let's look at some sentences where we use the Swedish word for yes. Vill du ha te? Ja tack. Or vill du ha te? Ja tack. Or vill du ha te? Ja. Number 2 on this list is the opposite of the word ja, and that is nej, our word for no. Also, nej has another version that is perhaps more common in spoken Swedish, and that is nej. Vill du ha te? Nej tack. Or vill du ha te? Nej tack. And a part of nej and nej, there are more ways of saying no in Swedish. Check out this video we made about it if you want to find out. Before we move on to our third småord, let's combine ja och nej. Then you will get nja, which is a bonus småord. Useful if someone asks you this. Kan du ses idag? Nja, om vi ses ikväll går det bra. Which means, can you meet today? Well, both yes and no. If we meet tonight, then it's fine. Moving on, our third småord är. Yes, är. Our way of saying is or are in Swedish. And är is not only a common Swedish tiny word, it's also the most common verb in Swedish. So you really need to learn this one. And this can mean both is and are or am, because we don't make any difference in Swedish. For example, jag är Daniela. I am Daniela. Vi är Fun Swedish. We are Fun Swedish. And when you say this common verb, är, then it's super important that you don't pronounce it as are or or. Look at these 3 examples. Jag är Daniela. Jag är Daniela. Or the one you should say, jag är Daniela in my case. Our next småord is I. And I is super important to learn by heart because it's the most common word in Swedish. I is a preposition and it has a lot of different meanings. That's why it's so common. Look at these sentences. Here you can see the different meanings of I. Jag bor i Sverige. Jag har bott i Sverige i 3 år. I live in Sweden. I have lived in Sweden for 3 years. Number 5. Our next common småord is på. Another preposition with several different meanings. Let's look at a sentence with this word. Jag bor på Drottninggatan 27. I live on Drottninggatan 27. In our video course, Falukorv, we talk more about the difference between I and på and when you should use them. So if you want to find out more, click this link to get to that course. Our next småord is och, our word for and. And you need to use this one if you want to put 2 sentences together. For example, vad gör du? Jag jobbar och pluggar. What do you do? I work and study. Even if och is written like this, it's pronounced as och and not osh or och. Okay? And in spoken Swedish, it actually sounds shorter, not even like och, more like a oh. Vad gör du? Jag jobbar och pluggar. Another more formal way of saying och is samt. Especially if you already used och in the same sentence. Like in this example. Jag har bjudit Karl och Thomas till festen samt hans mamma. Number 7. Att. Att is a word that you can see popping up here and there. Just like most småord, it is because it has many different meanings. Att can mean to, like to eat, att äta, but it can also mean that. When you put 2 sentences together. Jag tycker att du är bra på svenska. I believe or I think that you are good in Swedish. Depending a bit on your dialect, sometimes when we speak really fast, the at can sound more like an a sound or o sound, especially when we speak really fast.
The Micro Machine Man here presenting the genuine original colossally collectible.
Number 8. Den. Den is how we say it for n-ord, n-words. Let me explain further. En choklad, den är god. A chocolate, it is good or tasty. Or en kopp kaffe, den är min. A cup of coffee, it is mine. Number 9. Det. Det has many different meanings and it deserves a whole YouTube video just for it. But the most common meaning I would say is as it for ett words. For example, ett träd. Det är vackert. A tree, it is beautiful. Or ett fint rum. Det är mitt. A nice room, it is mine. Number 10 and 11. En and ett. We need to have en and ett on our list because they are tiny words that you will see everywhere. En and ett are articles that we put in front of a noun. You can kind of say that it works a little bit like the English and an, just that there's no clear rule when to use them. Just tendencies and some hacks that can help you. But if you want to dig deeper in en and ett, then I recommend you to watch this video we made about it. Number 12. Next common småord is med. And when we say it really fast, it kind of sounds like med. It means with. For example, if I say jag vill ha en kaffe med mjölk, I want a coffee with milk. And while we are on it, the opposite of med is utan, without. For example, en kaffe utan mjölk, a coffee without milk. Number 13. Next småord is till. And this means to when you refer to a direction. Åk till Sverige. Go or travel to Sweden. Or in this sentence. Var ska du? Jag ska till en kompis. Where are you going? I'm gonna go to a friend's house. Number 14. Inte. Inte is how we say not. Very important if you are a contrarian. Jag vill inte äta broccoli. Jag vill inte gå till gymmet. Also useful if you want to inform someone that they are not allowed to do something. For example, du får inte röka här. You are not allowed to smoke here. Or if you want to say that you're not so good at something. Jag pratar inte så bra svenska. I don't speak Swedish so well. But hopefully, after watching this video, you won't need this phrase any longer. Since you will be able to master all the Swedish tiny words that actually consist of almost 50% of the language since they are so common. Number 15. Now we have come to our last småord, and that is har, our second verb on this list. Har can be translated to both has and have since we don't make any difference when we use this in Swedish. For example, har ni tid? Do you have time? Hon har en fråga. She has a question. So, har is very important. But if you're going to say it, you need to say it right. And don't mix it up with the word hår, hair, or här, here. It is actually very common to mix up har with här. So again, here we use different vowels. Har, you put down your jaw, and when you say här, here, you need to open your mouth a lot, like if you go to the doctor. Här. So again, har, här. There are, of course, more tiny words than those I mentioned here. So, if you want us to make a tiny words part 2, subscribe to our channel and put a like. If you get more than 500 likes, we're gonna make part 2. Now, I will give you an exercise. Try to write a sentence with as many of these småord as possible. You can write them down in the comment section below. Lycka till och hej då!